The year is 216 before Christ. The largest army Rome has ever assembled is marching toward its own destruction. 80,000 soldiers, 2-to-1 odds in Rome's favor, marching across a flat plain in southern Italy, certain of victory. By sunset, between 50 and 70,000 will be dead, not by numbers, not by weapons, but by a single idea. The man who kills them will not celebrate. He will say no to the decision that could have ended Rome. That single word no may be the most consequential decision in the history of the ancient world. Today we ask, what if he says yes? And what kind of world exists where Rome falls in 216 before Christ? The answer will take us from a battlefield in Italy to a world Rome never built. It will surprise you. Before we get to that battlefield, you need to understand what Carthage was, because Rome won, and winners write history. Almost everything we know about Carthage was written by people who hated them. The prosecution's case, with no defense. Carthage controlled the entire Western Mediterranean for centuries before Rome existed. Its navy was the most powerful in the ancient world. Carthage was a republic, elected officials, a senate, and a constitution praised as one of the finest systems ever written. This was not a barbaric civilization waiting to be conquered. This was Rome's equal in every way, and long its superior. When Rome destroyed Carthage in 146 before Christ, it burned every library and every record. An entire civilization's knowledge was erased in 1 week. We know Carthage only from its enemies, the way we would know World War II, only from the side that lost. Carthaginian sailors had reached Britain by 600 before Christ and mapped the West African coast, the very edge of the known world. Its merchants traded from Spain to the Black Sea. Its engineers built harbors that lasted centuries after Rome supposedly erased it. The Romans called Carthaginian merchants the shrewdest in the world, an insult that tells you exactly how Rome viewed trade versus conquest. The story of why Rome almost lost begins with a father, a son, and an oath sworn before the gods. Carthage had just lost a long war. Rome stripped its fleet and lands and forced a debt taking generations to repay. Carthage's greatest general was preparing his next campaign, and his young son begged to come along. The general agreed only if the boy swore before the gods never to be Rome's friend as long as he lived. The boy swore the oath and kept it for the rest of his life. His name was Hannibal Barca. Hannibal is one of the most remarkable human beings who ever lived. Almost nobody outside history classrooms knows his name. By 26 he commanded Carthage's entire army in Spain, and every soldier under him would follow him anywhere. He slept on the ground, ate what they ate, and swam rivers ahead of them to prove it could be done. In 218 before Christ, he crossed the Alps in winter with war elephants. So audacious Rome did not believe it was happening. He lost nearly half his men to cold and passes, but the survivors were the hardest soldiers in the ancient world. When he descended into northern Italy, Rome finally understood and sent an army to the Trebia to stop him. He destroyed the first Roman army sent against him, then a second, killing 15,000 men in less than 3 hours. Rome assembled the largest army in its history, 80,000 soldiers, and marched to meet him at Cannae. Roman commanders believed numbers guaranteed victory. They had never faced a general who used the enemy's confidence as a weapon. Hannibal had 40,000 men. He placed his weakest troops in the center and his best veterans on the flanks. The Romans pushed through his weak center, certain they were winning, while his flanks curved inward, closing around them. The Romans were packed so tightly they could not raise their weapons. The circle closed. What followed was not battle, but slaughter. Between 50 and 70,000 Romans died. In one afternoon, historians compare it to the first day of the Somme. 1/5 of Roman men between 18 and 50 were dead before sunset. The city expected Hannibal at its gates by morning. Hold that for a moment. 1/5 of all Roman men of fighting age dead in a single afternoon. And then Hannibal said, "No." His cavalry commander rode to him immediately. "Ride with me now. In 5 days we will dine in Rome." He said no. And one reply echoed through all of history. "You know how to win a victory, but not how to use one." He had no siege equipment. He believed Rome's allies would abandon her. He was waiting for reinforcements that never came. His own government, fearing his family's power, refused to send the armies he needed. He was winning a war alone. Rome did something incomprehensible. It refused to accept defeat, raised new armies, refused to ransom prisoners, and kept fighting. 11 years later, Rome brought the war to Carthage, and Hannibal was defeated on his own soil. The war was over. Hannibal's tragedy is not that he lost. It is that he should have won, and everyone on both sides knew it. Rome feared him so deeply that after his death, his name still frightened people. His tactics are taught at West Point today. For our alternate history, we make one change. On the evening of Cannae, Hannibal says yes and begins the march on Rome. His men are exhausted, his siege equipment minimal, but Rome's army is gone and its senate is in complete panic. He does not need to storm the walls, he needs only to appear before them. Both sides know Rome cannot fight. By dawn, his campfires are visible from Rome's walls, and the city that had never surrendered, surrenders. Hannibal does not destroy Rome. Carthage has no interest in empire. He negotiates a peace treaty and goes home. Rome survives, still controlling Italy, but its ambitions of empire are over. The Western Mediterranean now belongs to Carthage. Without Rome, the Mediterranean does not consolidate under a single military empire. Carthage was a trading republic, not a conquering machine. Instead of Roman roads imposing one culture on Europe, you get trading cities, connecting 3 continents through commerce, not conquest. North Africa becomes the center of Mediterranean civilization, the position it held for centuries before Rome ever existed. Carthage controlled West Africa's gold routes. Without Rome blocking that, African civilizations reach Mediterranean markets centuries earlier. Greek philosophy continues developing through Carthaginian patronage, rather than being filtered through Roman interpretation. Science and mathematics advance without interruption. Christianity still rises, but without Rome as its vehicle, it remains one tradition among many, rather than an organizing empire. Without Rome, there is nothing to fall. In 476 Anno Domini, no dark ages, that 1,000-year interruption of progress does not happen. A multipolar Mediterranean Carthage, Greek city-states, Egyptian successors, all competing simultaneously, produces more innovation than any single empire ever could. Carthaginian navigators reached the Americas around 400 before Christ. The contact that in our world waited until 1492 begins 18 centuries earlier. The Silk Road flourishes without Roman interference. Silk, spices, and glass flowing freely into a Carthaginian network spanning 3 continents. The African kingdoms enter direct trade with the Mediterranean 5 centuries earlier, without Rome as the gatekeeper blocking that connection. The Renaissance that happened in our 15th century may arrive 500 years earlier, the Industrial Revolution. By 1000 Anno Domini, we would not recognize this world, not paradise, but a world that runs on a completely different axis from ours. But we have to ask the harder question: would a Carthaginian world actually have been a better world? More advanced? Almost certainly, but more just, more humane, more free? That is not guaranteed by commercial success or military victory. Carthage was built on slavery and exploitation, just as Rome, its world, would have had its own brutalities and conquered peoples. The question is not which empire was kinder. It is what multipolar competition produces versus one dominant power erasing all others. Something real was lost. When Rome burned Carthage, not just a city, but a way of seeing the world, never recovered. We know Carthage only from those who destroyed it, a people's entire story told only by their conquerors. That silence is its own kind of loss. Hannibal spent the rest of his life hunted across the Mediterranean, the only man Rome knew had truly threatened its existence. He died at 64 in exile, taking poison rather than be captured, the man closest to ending Rome, dying alone. His last words: "Let us relieve the Romans of their fear, since they find it too troublesome to wait for an old man to die." Go back to that plain in southern Italy. 60,000 dead, one man standing at the center looking toward Rome. One word stood between that moment and a completely different world, and that word was no. We cannot know if he chose rightly, only that it was a choice, and the world we live in is its direct consequence. The ruins of Carthage still exist outside Tunis. No Colosseum, no Forum, just scattered stone foundations barely visible above the ground. 2,000 years of forgetting have done their work. That civilization is now rubble. Most people walk past without knowing what it was. History turns not on great forces alone. It turns on small decisions made in the dark by people who could not know what they chose. Next time, on Empire's Echo, Greece defeats Rome at Cynocephali, and the world runs 2,000 years ahead of schedule.